Hello and welcome to The Fights Within. Your hosts Manuela and Samuel are here to encourage you to fight, regardless of obstacles you're facing. This year's show theme will focus on spiritual discipline, transforming your life while growing closer to God's beacon of light, while reaching your peak spirituality. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to The Fights Within.
Hi, welcome to The Fights Within. I am your host, Manuela. Yes, Samuel is still on a sabbatical, but my other co-host here, Ms. Thais, is here with us tonight. And we have our special guest, Mr. Jevon Wooden,
What's going on,
in
kings
the
and
building
queens?
tonight.
How y'all
And
doing?
believe it or not, we're in May. I mean, really, May is upon us. So I'm excited for tonight because it's always good to have conversation with men who are doing amazing things.
Yes.
And I know you have a powerful testimony.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. So let's get started. Let's let Jevon introduce himself.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for sharing your platform with
Yes,
me,
of
Manuela.
course,
This
of
is
course.
an amazing thing, so I'm just excited to be here. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jevon Wooden. I am the founder of Live Not Loathe, where we help high achievers overcome their limiting beliefs and design a life they don't need a vacation from. As you said, I have a bit of a testimony, and that testimony started when I was 17. I faced 7 years in prison for an assault and robbery charge. God had other plans for me.
Come on.
God saved me from that. By the grace of God, the victims didn't show, and the prosecutors dropped the case. I always say that God put me in that situation to show me that my path was different, that I needed to find my resources. I needed to find and understand that I was not meant to just go somewhere and waste my life. I was meant to empower and inspire. And how I do that now is through coaching, focusing on the mindset, focusing on getting people to build that confidence. 85% of people in the world struggle with self-esteem.
Yes.
So my goal is by the time God calls me home is to cut that number in half.
Come on.
Right.
I
So
like that.
That's what I feel like I'm called to do. That's my purpose.
That's awesome. Let's get started. Do you have a question you want to get started with?
So when God was redirecting your life, how did you know it was Him redirecting your life, and then how did you know what the first step was going to be for you?
Sure. So I didn't know the first steps.
Okay.
So when I was in there, it was after a visit from my mom and my older sister that I had this revelation. I had finally gotten on my knees and just prayed to Him, like, God, if you help me out, I'll become the servant I was meant to be. I had prayed to Him previously. I grew up in an Islamic home where we prayed 5 times a day, but I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't mean what I was saying. This was the first time that I said it in my own words. And had that conversation and built that relationship. I didn't understand the importance of that until that moment. And He did it. And He said, I'm going to keep my end of the bargain. Now you keep yours. And it took me a while to understand what that meant, what resources I had, because I thought money was the only thing that added value to
Come
you,
on.
right?
Wow.
But it wasn't,
That's deep.
right? The most important thing that you have is the fact that you are unique. No one else is like you. You are literally one of one. So I had to find what that meant, and that meant exploring. That meant stepping outside of my environment, which was Rochester, New York, and saying, okay, what can I do? I'm tired of working these dead-end jobs. After I had got out and graduated high school, I worked 2 full-time jobs because I didn't want to go back to that life. I seen the pain that it caused my family.
Okay.
So I was like, one day, this recruiter came up to me like, you should come to the recruiting station. And I was like, that's a good idea. That is a great idea. And that's really how the purpose path started. When I went to the military, I started seeing myself for who I could be. I started seeing that I had the capabilities to be a leader. I had these motivational skills where I can draw out people and see them for what strengths they had and be able to leverage them. And I understood the abilities and power of collaboration. Because, coming up in the hood, you're really taught the opposite of collaborating.
Yes.
Right?
Stay to yourself.
Stay to yourself. Don't be vulnerable.
Exactly.
Right? Don't show weakness. All these things. So I had to learn all those things. And now those are really what I help my clients with today. Because that lack of vulnerability prevents you from getting the help and prevents you from connecting with people such as yourselves who can help move the needle forward, and everyone can achieve their goals. Right?
That's good. Before we get to your book, your testimony is so powerful because there are so many people who I believe God has given chances after chances, but doesn't take the opportunity, because sometimes our past make us stuck,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because we want to stay in that mindset, or our friends, the friends that we need to drop, pulls
Yep.
us back into that life. So I love the fact that you said you were in prison, and then you asked God to help you, and He did.
He did.
And you did not go back to that life.
did it.
That's a hard thing, because so many of us are stuck because we don't want to. We set in routine.
Yep.
We like what
Comfort
we like.
zone.
Comfort
Yep.
zone.
Yep.
You know, and so we'll make it out the hood, but a whole part of us will still be the hood, because we don't know how to let the past be the past and allow God to move us into the new. And some of us are afraid of the new.
Yes.
So
Yes, yeah, it's you're saying a word right now, because it's when we talk about environment, right?
Yes.
There's two environments. You have
Yes.
your external and your internal.
Yeah.
So you can relocate externally and go wherever you want to go, but if
Right.
your mentality is
come
the same,
on. Yes.
you're still in that place.
Yes.
Because you're putting mental shackles on yourself, right? You're holding yourself to that. And so many of us feel guilty about succeeding, and then that's how we keep going back in that past. We have to understand that we were given this opportunity. You've worked for it, for one, and now that you have that, you have so much more leverage to impact, right? You have so much more leverage to say, okay, now that I'm in this position, I don't have to go back there, right? But I can contribute to there, right? Maybe I can donate to an organization, or maybe I can start a program. There are other ways, so we can't feel guilty about that. We shouldn't feel guilty about that any longer. You have to forgive yourself and just move forward. And that's one of the things we talk about in the book, is forgiving yourself and understanding the moves and mistakes you've made, they've already taken place, right? You cannot change the past, but if you live in the present, you become mindful, you become aware. Now you understand you have a whole life to live, and whatever you set out to do in your mind, you can start to make happen. I used to feel like that. I was there, like, feeling guilty, like, man, dang, I feel bad that I made it out, like, my friends are still back there. But then I understood, like, hey, we can all do what we're trying to do. If they're serious about it, I can teach them some of these tools, right? Just tell them, like, oh, you want to invest? All right, cool, this is what I did, stuff like that. And the ones that are serious, you'll find, because they weed themselves out.
Yes.
They start taking, you start seeing who's going to take action, and that's what you can do. Just plant those seeds.
Yes. That's so good. Go ahead, T.
No, I mean, I felt him when he said feeling guilty about getting out, right? So, I don't know if you guys know, I'm from Cleveland. Like, most people think I'm from the suburb. No, I'm from the inner city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
So when I go back and I see how everything has just fallen down, and then houses being torn down in the neighborhood I grew up in, it was a middle-class neighborhood. Now you barely have houses on the block, and I look at where some of the people who never took a chance to leave, where they are. They didn't really go too far, and then you have some that did go far, and then you have people like me that left, and so I don't want to go back, but I will go back if necessary, and if I need to invest in a neighborhood and buy that and then develop that, I will do that.
Right.
But outside of that, I have no desire.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's important. And I'm laughing because I feel like God has you in my lane right now, because I recently had a conversation with her, because I'm in a season where God is literally, like, taking me through these storms, but I know it's for the other side, right? And they always say before elevation takes place, you have to go through the preparation process, and that process is hard. And I recently had a conversation with Thais this week, or last week, I believe, and I was telling her, I need to stop apologizing for the gift that God gave me.
Right.
I need to stop apologizing to people that can't go where I'm going. Not that I'm better than you, but it's just that we're in a different lane.
For sure.
And I feel like for the past couple of years, I've been apologizing for the greatness. I've been apologizing for who I am, and God is like, stop. Stop. The people who's supposed to be around you will accept you, will be there, but stop. I don't want to say dumb down myself, but I feel like the
Dimming
glow.
your light.
I dim my light. There you go. I'm
Yeah.
dimming my light just so I guess they can't accept me or whatever. And so I was telling her recently, I said, you know what? We have a luncheon coming up, Dear Woman Luncheon. I said, we need to tell these women, we need to stop apologizing for the greatness that God gave to us,
Yeah.
For
for
real.
who we are called to be. because we're not doing ourselves a service if we keep dimming who we're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And you're not, I mean, you got to think about this. When you dim your light, you're also doing a disservice to the
Yes.
world.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
they need that power, right?
Yes.
They need you
Yes.
to be magnified. And they
Right.
need you to carry on your path of purpose.
That's right.
Because once you do that, now you're impacting all these other lives, and the lives you impact other lives.
That's right.
So it's just a snowball effect. That's really the only way that the world, will continue to build and elevate, right? We have to serve from our purpose and do it in our way,
Yes.
and serve from a place of compassion.
Yes, yes. Hold that thought. We will be right back because Jevon's going to talk about his book. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, Ashley here with You Endure Tea Company. And are you feeling sluggish? Well, we got something for you. You Endure's all new Slim Tea 14-day detox. This organic detox tea helps to purify your body by gently removing toxins, waste, and excess water. The premium herbs were blended to support your immune system, help boost your metabolism, and stimulate your sluggish digestive system to help you feel lighter and less bloated. And let's be honest here, who does not like being lighter and less bloated? I mean, if you ask me, I definitely do. This delicious blend has powerful ingredients that help support a healthy colon. Plus, it's caffeine free, y'all. So visit us today at youendure.com. And remember, when you make healthy choices, you endure it.
Welcome to Combat Cardio Fitness, where fitness meets combat. Our program is for all ages because our mission is simple. Have fun and get in the best shape of your life. Come enjoy high-intensity workouts while building character, discipline, and also skill. While our name is Combat, our focus is fundamentals, from beginner techniques to also expert-level combinations. We offer a wide range of classes to get you results. Sign up today for a free 3-day pass and experience Combat Cardio Fitness.
And we are back with this awesome author, Jevon. And I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation like we are. So Jevon wrote a book. You want to tell us about your book?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you. So my book is called Own Your Kingdom, How to Control Your Mindset So You Can Control Your Destiny. And when I wrote this book, a lot of people ask me, is this your story or anything? No, it's not my story. It's really some tools that I used and leveraged to go from that 17-year-old who was lost, who didn't believe in themselves, to the man you see today, to where I can empower others and give them the tools and resources and techniques to design a life they don't need a vacation from. So this book, it's not just something you read, right, and throw to the side.
Right.
It is an implementation guide. So there's a workbook that comes with it that you download, and I call out exercises such as, becoming vulnerable in a healthy way, identifying your success path, identifying what you're holding on to that's holding you back, those types of exercises. And then in between the chapters, there's note sections. So that way, everything that has resonated with you, you can keep track, so you can just call back. Because I really wanted a book that wasn't about any fluff. I'm not repeating the same things over and over again. I want it to be easily digestible so that you can actually implement as you go along and you can continue to refer back. So that's what this book is about.
So why did you write it?
So I wrote it really to get that out there. Like I was like, hey, I'm coaching people, and I noticed there are some commonalities and common denominators across everyone. And those common denominators are the same ones that was holding me back, that I was going through. So I wrote this book as a way to address those. as a way to say, hey, you know, vulnerability is strength, forgiving yourself is the only way you can move forward, et cetera, et cetera. Just creating that ladder of success, so to speak, and building that muscle. Because, again, so many people are fighting an internal struggle, and those scars are the hardest to heal, the ones you cannot see. So I just wanted people to understand that they don't have to do these things alone. You know, it's actually better. We are social creatures. Humans are meant to be with other humans, and we are meant to receive help. There's no such thing as self-made, and there's no badge of honor for trying to do it yourself. So that's why I wrote this book.
That's good. That's good. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, a lot of those commonalities, right? Learning how to be vulnerable and realizing that as a human, we're gregarious. That's the proper term for it, right? Where we need to lean upon one another. Give us an example when you realized leaning on somebody else was the right thing to do and a good thing to put in your book.
For sure. The example that comes to mind right now is it was 2017. I had just gotten home from my last deployment to Afghanistan, and it was probably about maybe six months afterwards, after I returned home, and I had hit this really, really dark time. I was in such a deep depression, and my PTSD kept having this reoccurring dream. While I was over there, there was a suicide bombing that detonated while we were all lined up at a Veterans Day run that took out some people and injured and scarred, you know, people in other ways, right? So I just kept having this same dream because I was a part of the remains cleanup team, and it is what it sounds. You're literally cleaning up the scene. And I just kept seeing it because what really impacted me was treating the victims the same way as the bomber. And it just did something within me. And I went down to this deep depression, and I remember I having to call my oldest sister. And I don't even know what I was saying. I was apologizing for things, and she's like, that didn't happen, that's not true, you know. But in my mind, you know, I had to apologize for these things. I felt like I was not good, I had let them down. And it was really, you know, from their perspective, it was the exact opposite. But I realized then that I was not, you know, I couldn't just do things on my own, really. Really, I had to have some support, and I couldn't just share the good. Right, I had to share the bad, because that burden, if you try to carry those burdens, they will weigh you down.
Absolutely.
Those burdens are meant to be shared, right? And one of the things I want to address is, a lot of us, we say, I don't want to be a burden to someone, right? Our family, our friends, whoever it is, like they got their own thing going on. That's what they are there for, right? Family and friends want to be there, and we have to start utilizing that. Have that, I like to call it the 360 support system, right? Have that social support around you where you have people to uplift you. You have people that you can share your deepest, darkest with. You have people that you can say, hey, I'm not okay, right? And this is professional and also your circle, right? Your familial or your friendship circles. You got to have that, because if you do not, you know, you're going to start feeling weighed down, you're going to become overwhelmed, you're going to burn yourself out. You know, there's so many things, and stress kills.
Yes, it
Right?
does.
Stress is a huge killer. So
silent killer.
yes. So I want people to understand that support is necessary for your growth and for longevity.
That's good. And I love you said 360?
Yes, 360 support system.
360 support system. I love that. That's a good way of reminding yourself, okay, I need my 360. Who are my 360? And I think a lot of times you have to find or know your 360 support, because there are people in life who comes to just only take and not give back. And so with stress being a silent killer, it's just knowing, I always say this, knowing the season of life that you are in. You know, some people can't go where you are right now. The friends you had when you were in your 20s just can't roll with you in your 40s, and that's okay. And so having that 360 support, knowing, okay, I can depend on her, or I can depend on him, or my sister or my brother, that is key.
It is.
That is so important, because, you know, this is a stigma. Depression is real.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's real for both men and women.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It's not just the women only. No, it's men and women.
Right.
And the thing about depression is, if you don't deal with it, call it out.
Exactly.
You know, when you're going through it, and I always say the devil likes to just keep you in that little bubble of yourself and thinking, oh, I have to suppress it. No one needs to know I'm depressed. That's when it eats you up more,
for sure.
because you're not speaking it. And I always say, when we don't talk about what we are dealing with internally, it kills us
Yes.
silently, right?
Yes,
It
that's
does.
good.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's a lot of good stuff. Actually, there are a few things that stand out, right? About PTSD. Okay, so my dad's a vet. And so when my mom passed away, that was something he dealt with, right? He still deals with PTSD, but on top of that, him dealing with the loss of my mother and witnessing someone going through depression, but they don't know,
Yep.
right? Because sometimes you don't know, and it's good to have your 360 support system around you, right? But these are all topics that's true. Men and women, we need to talk about it. Not just people who have served have PTSD. If you
Yes.
went through something traumatic, like if you witnessed somebody like go through abuse or anything like that, that causes that too. And
For sure.
like I always say, go get a therapist. It's okay. Don't let nobody tell you it's not okay to talk to somebody, because they will help you, give you the tools to cope and to deal and to be honest with yourself. And then if you're having crazy thoughts of you being guilty, you allow yourself to forgive yourself to move forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's important to note that when you go to a therapist, the first one may not be your vibe, right?
Yes,
So
that's
don't
true.
give up after that, right?
Yes,
Just check out a
yes.
couple.
That's good that you
you
said
know,
that.
because some people be like, oh man, I tried that, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, you have to understand like there's different types of specialties,
Yeah.
right? So you have to find someone who addresses what you're looking to address.
Yeah.
Two, therapy is not only to be reactive. So if you feel like you're fine, you can still go to therapy, because you'd be surprised what you uncover. Because oftentimes when you talk about trauma, the trauma survivor, they may have put that in the back of their mind and forgot all about it. Right? Sometimes we're like, hey, I don't even remember this, right? And it is especially common for like sexual assault victims
Yes,
as a
definitely.
youth. So we have to be mindful of those things. A lot of times, these things, this trauma, this pain, it manifests itself in your life in different ways. And you really don't understand why, relationships you tend to sabotage, or you tend to blow up when someone mentions certain things.
Right.
Well, that's when therapy comes into play. Because when you can identify that, now you can put a name to it, and now you can also understand your triggers. You can understand your, your symptoms, or how your responses, like, because usually you have a physical response too to these things. Like maybe you start sweating, or you don't even know, all those things. So you can pay attention to those things, and now you can put in a plan to address these things, coping mechanisms, proper responses, because some of us, we tend to cope negatively. Like I've been there, right?
Yes.
So we have to replace those things with positive, healthy habits.
Yes.
Definitely.
Functional
Yes.
habits.
Yes.
Definitely. I
Yes.
love your title, Own
Thank
Your
you.
Kingdom. What made you come up with that title? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's hot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
Own Your
appreciate it.
Kingdom. I like that.
Yeah. So what made me talk about own your kingdom is I look at kingdom as you, right? And when you talk about owning your kingdom, there's three things I talk about, right? There's the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. So I look at that as your triad, I like to call it. And then when you're centered, when you have all those things aligned, you're centered and you're focused.
Right.
Soon as one of those things start getting impacted, the other things start stressing.
Right.
So we have to make sure we're having that healthy balance, taking care of ourselves in all ways. And that's why I named it Own Your Kingdom, because a lot of us don't realize we have agency over ourselves. Right?
deep.
We have that control, and we have to start taking that accountability.
Sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
He's a great speaker. I hope you guys
Thank
are
you.
like, wow, you're a great speaker.
I
That's
appreciate
good.
that.
That's good.
Appreciate
And I'm
it.
happy that you're being transparent, because a lot of times, we know things, but we don't know how to explain things. And I find that that's so important that you can do that. You can explain to our audience who are watching us right now.
Articulate,
Yes, and give deep details, and not just, own your kingdom and, your mindset. You really giving us skills. Because
Right.
I'm like, this is fascinating. Yes, we do have agents. Yes,
Appreciate you.
we do have triggers.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Lots of triggers.
Yeah, lots of triggers. For
Work,
sure.
home,
Right.
And when you can be aware of your triggers, I think then
Man.
you start winning in life.
Yes.
You can be more proactive.
Yes.
You're not reactive, and then you can really start to plan your days
Yep.
and really start thinking about what you want to manifest when
sure.
you can do that, right? Because if you don't,
Definitely.
everything will throw you off track. You won't have time to be like, okay, I need to get this done. It's just like, the whole world pissed me off. You're
Yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
learning to control it,
Definitely.
do introspection, my favorite word.
Definitely.
Yes.
It helps.
That's
so.
mine too. I love the word introspection.
Yes.
Doing the work is key. Like, we have to understand that though your circumstances are really a reflection of your internal situation.
Amen to
Right?
that.
So like a lot of people say that's cliche, it just sounds corny, you know, all that, but it's true. So if someone, like the listeners, if you've ever noticed that when your mind is cluttered, when you have a lot of things going on, your physical space starts getting cluttered, right? So that's the direct reflection of what you're thinking and your thoughts. So when you start understanding that you actually have that type of power, you know, we talk about the secret, right? The law of attraction and all those things. But there's also a ton of other laws, like the law of vibration. And that energy you're putting out, right, is in that energy that you have internally. If you can shift that and make it positive, no matter if things are going negatively, it's not about that. It's about understanding that your circumstances are not final. That's where a lot of us get in trouble. We say, oh man, is this always going to be life? Is this it? Right? Am I always going to be struggling to pay my bills and all that other stuff? Flip it. Flip it, and you have to say, all right, I know I'm in this today, but I am going to get out of this. How? Right? And now you can start making a plan because you understand that there is possibilities and there is a way for you to enhance what's going on in your life. The moment we understand that is the moment we can start taking action. And that's where so many of us get stuck because it's just inaction. We mentioned comfort earlier, right? That false sense of just familiarity. That's really what it is, right? Because you can be comfortable because you know the devil you're with.
Right.
So we have to really be mindful of that. Like, am I comfortable because this is a good thing for me? Or am I comfortable because I'm afraid that other things can be worse?
Wow.
So that's a question you have to ask yourself when you're doing this, as you're looking to better yourself and better your life.
That's good. And you just made me think of, you know, how the Bible talks about life and death is in the power of the tongue. So a lot of times we're speaking death over our lives and we're not even realizing it because of the condition or the circumstances that we are going through. So we start speaking like, oh God, this is hell and this hell won't go away.
And then it sits there.
Like, no. You look back and hell is still 8 months and hell is still, and because we didn't change the language. We didn't change the language. We didn't change it. We just kept manifesting that whole hell, and just hell became the whole, story.
And what happens with that is when you're talking to yourself like that, it's draining your energy, right? And so you don't really feel like, I don't feel like doing anything after work, right? I work this time, so you have to understand, like, okay, if I'm working 10 hours for someone else and I hate that, I absolutely abhor it. What am I going to do? Like, I need to go home and do something. I can't just go home and sit on my butt or go to bed. I need to put some time in changing what's happening because what I'm doing now is not working. Keep it real with yourself. Like, understand what part you play in it. There's a principle called extreme ownership by Jocko Willink. Extreme ownership is when no matter what's going on, no matter if you did an action, you understand, like, hey, what part do I play, right? How can I enhance the situation so if this happens again, I know what I can do, right? Because you can't focus on what you can't control, but there are a lot of things we can control.
Absolutely.
Because all of that stuff is tied to your effort.
That's good.
That's true.
Tell people where we can find you. We definitely will have you back. I
Okay.
I
hope so. I appreciate that.
Like,
for
yes,
sure.
we're gonna have this conversation again.
I appreciate it.
Tell our audience where they can find you.
Sure. So you can find me on social media at Live Not Loathe. That's all platforms. LIVENOTLOATHE. And you can also go to my website, livenotloathe.com. Sign up for the newsletter. DM me however you want to connect with me. I'll respond.
Wow, this was
That
great.
was good.
Ty, do you want to add anything before we wrap up?
No, let me go ahead and do the commercial. Go pick up his book. I'm just saying, he gives you tools. He tells you about PTSD, what you can do to help yourself. Go get it. Go look him up.
Queens. I appreciate y'all.
Of course. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Like, real talk. This was really good. So definitely follow Jevon Wooden. Get to know him. Reach out to him. Life coaching. Yes, get it.
For sure.
So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, and we will see you all back on next Wednesday. God bless and take care.
Bye.
Bye.